We are having so much fun, and we know you're going to love our next guest. His name is Tony Walker, and he is a comedy guy. Comedy cures everything. So.
Absolutely. I had cancer at the age of 32, and I do believe that the laughter and the positive attitude got me through it just as much as the medications did, which led to the comedy troupe that I run called Knockem Dead Comedy. We do dinner theater, murder mysteries, game shows, kid shows. We're not stand-up or anything like that, just comedy shows, variety shows.
So you go to restaurants and where else? Like theaters?
Restaurants, private parties, corporate events, fundraisers. Did I say fundraisers?
Fundraisers, firehouse.
The comedy shows, they're murder mysteries, they're audience participation. It's a scripted show because there's clues and hints that have to go out, but it's not a don't blink or you'll miss something. It's not Agatha Christie.
Right.
It's a comedy. It's lighthearted, but one of the characters does get killed,
right.
And then the audience has to figure out who did it and why. And if it's a private party or a corporate event, we personalize it to fit their event.
Now, do you ask the audience for help with the mysteries? Or
Yeah, they solve it.
All by themselves.
Based on what they saw during the show, we even give them a little section where they can interrogate the suspects.
Oh, that's
and,
fun.
So we'll deflect, deny, point fingers at other characters, but everybody makes the rounds throughout the whole room and talks to people.
The show is guaranteed. It's 100% guaranteed fun.
Totally.
Everywhere we go,
always.
Everybody loves that show.
The audience they just get so involved, and there's just such a part of the show, and that makes it even better.
Other things that you do aside from mystery.
We do game shows. The game show, we have a podium with lights and buzzers and sounds, and it's basically
Like
a trivia game show, or it could be, again, we ad-lib with that too. So they may want a trivia game show, but if we show up and they're a loud, boisterous group and they're a lot of fun, we could ask them to do funny physical challenges or do some karaoke or whatever, or name that tune, whatever we feel like doing, and they'll be willing to do. We'll take it there.
Yeah. What movie introduced the phrase, "There's no crying in baseball"?
What letter comes after A? Go ahead. B is correct!
Is there a favorite skit that you do that just still cracks you up every time you do it?
We do a lot of audience participation murder mystery shows, comedic murder mystery shows. And there's two shows. We have a mob show. We're in New York. You have to have the mob shows. And we have a redneck wedding, which is just
I have to come see that one.
You're welcome anytime. Anytime. In fact, I even brought you a shirt.
Growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, I have to say, you did?
Of course I did.
Hey!
That you will wear everywhere you go. In fact, I have a whole bunch there. I'm giving one out to everybody.
Everywhere I go. Okay.
That's right.
There you go.
Knockem Dead Comedy.
Oh, that's great.
Can I
Knockem Dead
pretend I'm
Comedy.
drinking something here?
Excellent. Yeah, you can pretend like you're drinking something.
I'm having fun on the set.
We actually do put water in it when guests ask.
Just
we
not
do. But
this
if you
guest.
but if you don't ask ahead of time, wait. This one's full of water. You ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. There you go.
Johnny, you have a good time tonight or what?
Had an awesome time.
All right. KDC, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, all right.
The Knockem Dead Comedy Radio Show also brought to you by Two Eagles Auto Body. For more than 25 years, Two Eagles Auto Body has been the leader in auto body repairs and customer satisfaction on Long Island. Two Eagles Auto Body handles every type of auto repair, from custom applications and restorations to repairs involving insurance claims. So call Two Eagles Auto Body and ask for John Rossi at 516-328-2527.
Hey, how do you say there, people? It's Johnny Brennan, creator of the Jerky Boys, also of Fox TV's Family Guy fame. I just want to let you know you're listening to Tony and Sally on the Knockem Dead radio show. They're gonna keep knocking them dead, so keep listening, you wacky sons of bitch. Right there. Over and out there, sweet Charlie.
3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Hello, Tony. Mookie Wilson here, 1986 Mets. How you doing? Long time no see, man. Hey, man, I miss you guys, man, at Knockem Day Comedy Radio, man. I miss you. I wish I was still up there, man. But I'll wait till it warm up a little bit, and hopefully this year things will be a little bit better, man. But when we're talking about comedy, hey, the early years of Mets was a lot to laugh about. You had to make a lot of comedy off those guys. Hey, hope to see you guys during the summer, and hopefully get back on the show, man, at some point in time during the course of the year, all right? All right? Yeah, fine. Contact me, man. All right, Tony. Talk to you later.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Monday, December 5th. Welcome to the Knockem Dead Comedy Podcast. The Knockem Dead Comedy Show coming at you live on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast Twitch channel. That's right, Twitch channel. Thanks for joining us here on the Twitch. Hope everybody's well. There it is. Please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, say hi to the channel, share the channel. Tell everybody you know about the channel. Tell everybody you know about all the great shows on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast, Twitch channel, and our YouTube channel. I know I've been telling you for a while we're going to start moving our shows over to Twitch. We are doing that soon, but we're going to keep the YouTube page active as well. And speaking of which, tonight on our YouTube channel, we have the return of Flip Tracks Radio. I don't think that show's been on in months. Tonight, I confirmed it just a few minutes ago. Flip Tracks Radio tonight at 9 o'clock here, well, not here on the Twitch channel, but on the Gov's Comedy Club Podcast YouTube channel. And, of course, before that, at 6:30 tonight will be Steve Squared. That's right. So, hope everybody's well. Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Jeff Bosey. Hope everybody's well. I'm pretty much over that cold I had. You can probably still hear my voice a little bit, and I am coughing a little bit, but not too bad. So, finally getting over that. So how was everybody's weekend? Hope everybody's well. What did you guys do this weekend? The phone lines are open. I think the phone number is there. I also put it, it's here somewhere. 516-465-3990 if you'd like to call in and say hello. And that goes out to just about everybody. Jeff knows what I mean. Oh, here we go again. There's a ghost in this room, I'm telling you. I don't know what's going on. So, yes, tell me about your weekend. How you doing? The weekend was a little crazy for me. I worked like crazy. So
So let's see. So Friday. Where did I go Friday? I feel like I had my daughter's basketball with the special needs PAL. So Saturday night. So Friday night. I'm doing my thing at basketball as the PAL president. I looked down. I thought I was wearing a PAL shirt, but I'm not. I forgot what I was wearing. So I'm at basketball, and Governors calls me up. You know, if you've been to the club, just like we do here, they play videos before the show. They have screens all over the club, and there's music playing, and there's announcements going on about their website and Wi-Fi and whatever else. If you like to do a fundraiser there, whatever. And there's screens, and they're showing different famous clips from movies and comedy and pictures from governors through the years and a bunch of different, like maybe some home bloopers and stuff, some funny stuff, get an energy going. But they're still using a DVD to show the videos. So it's old school here, governors. So Don Sill, who makes a lot of our graphics and videos, he's in the process of making them a new one, an updated video for the club. So they call me up. So, all right, sorry, I'll backtrack. So for Don to make the new one, he took a DVD of the current one just to get an idea of what they're looking for and what the announcements are and whatnot. So Friday they called me up, and the DVD that they're using that night somehow got broken or messed up, and so it wasn't working. So they called me up. They go, the only other DVD we have is the one we gave you to give to Don. We need it. And I'm like, well, I don't have it. Don has it. And Don lives like over pretty much an hour away. Plus, he wasn't even home. So I said, there's no way I'm getting this thing. They said, okay, well, you got to get it tomorrow. And I said, all right, look, I have the latest version of Don's video. It's even though it's not complete, but I have that. I said, I can burn that to a disc and bring it to you tonight. So this is after my daughter's basketball. It's 10 o'clock at night. They're like, yeah, fine, bring it. So I'm already shot. I was here during the day. My daughter's thing. So now it's 10 o'clock at night, and I shoot over here, which was kind of cool. I got to see Joe DeVito. Joe's great. He doesn't come in here anymore, but he's a great guy, great comedian. What was going on in the giggle room? There was some great... Who did I see? There was some great show. There was a great show in there, too. Rich Aronovich. It was the first time I met Rich in person. He's been on the show here, through Zoom. If you guys recall, when he was on, we had an absolute. It was one of my better moments in here. We just had such a great time. So it was cool to meet him in person. So I saw them the video, but we had to wait. Had to clear the place out. The show was still going. Shows were still going on when I got here. So then they had to clear the place out. So it was probably like 11:30 by the time we even got to watch the video. Then, got to talking about, notes and ideas, suggestions. They said, okay, but we'll keep this for now. It's better than nothing, but get our DVD back. But for tomorrow night. I'm like, oh, what the? So Saturday and Sunday, as you guys know, if you're nice enough to watch every day, all right. So we're getting spam on our thing now. All right, thanks. So so as you guys know, I play Santa Claus at White Post Farms Saturday and Sundays. So, and it's a long day. I do it from 10 to 5. I get there around 9, get myself set up. So that's a long day sitting there and taking pictures and dealing with bratty kids. So Don was working at the Nassau Coliseum Saturday night. So he said, okay, yeah, I'll bring the disc with me. So I'm Santa Claus all day. I leave White Post Farms at 5 o'clock. I shoot over to the Coliseum to get the disc from Don. I pull into the Coliseum parking lot. Now, this is it's like 5:30, maybe a little after. there's an indoor lacrosse game going on, which I'll get to that later. But there's an indoor lacrosse game going on that doesn't start till 7:30. Now, let me tell you, it's indoor lacrosse. This is not, this is not the NBA. This is not the NHL. This is not MLB. It's local indoor lacrosse. Why the parking lot is already open for people who want to see the game at 5:30, where they're charging you $20 to park. And I tell the lady, I said, look, I'm not staying. I just got to go meet somebody to pick something up. I'm going to be 30 seconds. Well, how do I know that? She says. I'm like, oh, my. I said, so send somebody with me. She goes, well, call them. We're arguing back and forth. So I was going to call him, but then I look behind me, and there's like 3 or 4 people behind me online. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. I hate you. I even said that to her. I said, I hate you. And I paid the $20 to get the disc from Don. Leave there, come back here to the club, give them the disc, go home, change out of the crap I had on for Santa, grab my daughter, to go back to the Coliseum, pay another $20 to park to sit and watch the game. So it was so Saturday was nuts, but it was worth it because, at least going to the game was worth it. The indoor lacrosse game. Laura Patton, I don't know what happened to you, Laura, but Laura did not follow through for the tickets to let me know if she can go, so she wasn't there. But Andy was there. Andy brought his wife and kids, so it was cool to hang out with them. And we got to see Jay. As I told you guys on Friday, Jay was the sleaze, and we got to see him running around the Coliseum. And that's all I'm going to say about that today, because Jay has confirmed he will be here tomorrow. So I'm going to save the video and the conversation about that till tomorrow. But, and believe me, it'll be worth the wait. Wait till you guys see the video. Jay was fantastic. He looked ridiculous. So wait till you see it. That'll be on tomorrow's show. And the game was fun. They're called the Long Island Riptide. They suck. I've gone to plenty of games. This is, I think, their 3rd or 4th season. And I've gone to a lot of their games. I've gone to more games than I haven't. And I have not seen them win a game yet. But they usually get blown out and beat up pretty good. But this game was cool. They even took the lead a couple times, which never happens. But they so there was a lot of back and forth in the game. As far as the lead, tying it up, who's taking the lead. In the third quarter, maybe even early fourth quarter, they started to get beat up. They were down, I think, by 6 or 7 goals. But then with less than 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they started coming back. And the game got really exciting. And they were scoring goals like crazy. The other team's goalie, they were playing, I think it was a Philly team. I don't remember who they played. I don't care. But yeah, their goalie just fell apart, and they were scoring left and right on this guy. They ended up losing, I think, by 1 goal. So at least the game ended, exciting. Like the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Riptide had possession of the ball almost the whole quarter, and it was so again, it was exciting. At least it wasn't a blowout. It was an exciting game. We had fun. It was cool hanging out with Andy, and then Don, of course, joined us. Don was working. He works the game. Don he's a very impressive guy, that Don Sill. If you go to, if you've ever been to any of these games, Don does almost all the graphics that you see on the big board and on the sides. Like it's almost all him. That's pretty impressive stuff. Okay, why didn't you go up to the same drive window and say, "Hey, do you remember me? I paid the $20 already." Yeah, it was like 2 hours later. My guess is that I just assumed she wouldn't, Jeff. Jeff saw the video. It was amazing. Carol Miner, oh my gosh, you sound horrible, friend. Hope you get the feeling better. Oh, do I really? Do I sound horrible? I feel fine. And I'm coughing a little bit, but that's it. I was never really that sick. I had a nasty cough last week, and the sniffles, but I felt fine. A little tired, but maybe just for a couple of days. That one day at White Post was the worst because I was sitting, in a room with no heat. But yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't aware I sound horrible. You sure it's just not my voice? But no, I feel fine. I'm totally fine. Maybe I sound this way because this is probably the most I've been talking in a few days. I do have to cough. Either way, I'm better. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. So that was Saturday. Sunday played Santa again. Oh, and Saturday at White Post playing Santa was awful because it rained. So nobody's going to a farm on a day it rains. At one point, we went 3 hours without anybody stopping by to see Santa. It was a pretty long day. Yesterday was better. It was busy. Yesterday was pretty busy, and which made the day go a lot faster. The last hour or so, nobody showed up, so that dragged a little bit. But at least it was a busy day. I had one kid come in. White Post Farms. It's popular. It's a farm. It's got animals and stuff. It's popular with a lot of little kids. And most of them are still too scared to see Santa. For Santa, they haven't totally grasped that yet. So I get a lot of kids that come in scared to death and they start screaming and crying. So one kid, did you get the peony? No, I have not gotten the peony yet, Fremder, and I hope I don't. That would really suck. Although, if that happened, I'd probably just get up and leave. There's no way I'm sitting there all day with pee on my clothes. There's no way. Either that or, or the Santa costume at the very least is coming off. They'll see Santa in jeans and a SUNY Farmingdale t-shirt. But yeah, one kid came up, and he was definitely undecided. But he sits down, right? He sits down to my right, and he's just staring at me. I'm like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" And he kind of just he just kind of pushes it. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he's still just looking at me. And his parents coming over. I think he had a younger brother, little baby. They're coming over, and they're like, you want to take a picture with Santa? And he's just still looking at me. So I go, "Yeah, we'll take a quick picture." This time he grabs my arm and pushes it. He kept pushing it this way. I'm like, but yeah, that was but at least it was a nice busy day. Went a little faster, and then last night I came here. There was a show in the in the big room. John Butera was having a fundraiser for a friend of his who's going through a kidney issue. So he had the room packed in there. It was a fun night. You had Chris Roach. He played both rooms. Jay played both rooms. Dan LaRocco was in the giggle room. Joe Cravella was in there. Emily Santosis was there. Mike Keegan was hysterical. He headlined. Mike Keegan is just... Why he's not bigger in the comedy world. It's just baffling to me. Who else? Who am I missing? Peter Bales played both rooms. I made some new friends. Met a comedian named Erin Locke. She's from Long Island originally, but she's currently down, I think, in the Carolinas or something. I forget where she is. But she was here. She was funny. She was going to come in here today, but something came up, and she won't be able to make it. But she'll be back. She gets to New York fairly often. She has family here, and it was her first time here at Governor's, so that was cool. And Tony DeBas, D-A-B-A-S, he played the big room. He's a funny guy. He's out there on Instagram if you'd like to check him out. Funny guy. He wants to get involved a little bit in here, so that'll be cool. Of course, Michelle Fox was in the big room. Olga Namer. Yeah, it was a fun night. Lots of funny people hanging around. It was a good night. So I was hanging around, and Butera comes up to me, and he says, why don't you go up for a few minutes? And it was weird because at first I haven't done stand up. It's actually been over a year since I've done any stand up. I think. Wait a minute. No, that's not true. I don't know. It's close to a year. So my focus is in here and on the murder mysteries, and so Bosa says I did great. Thank you, pal. It was weird because at first when Butera asked me, I actually said no, and you could see it in his face, like. And then I think Cravella, a few other guys were kind of standing around, and they all kind of gave me like a weird look. So in my head, I'm thinking, are you not supposed? Is that like the rule of thumb? You don't say no when you're offered a spot, or is it a Butera thing? Like, oh no, he said no to Butera. I didn't know. So I went back to him like 2 seconds later. I was like, all right, John. I said maybe I will do it. He goes, yeah. Why don't you go up there? Just go up there for a few minutes, have some fun. I said, all right. I said because I haven't done my set in a while. I said I have no idea, if I'm going to be long, short. He's like, just go up there and have fun. Do whatever you can. I said, okay. I came in here because there was nothing going on in here, so it was nice and quiet. And I'm just sitting here running through my set. Okay. But always say yes to stage time, says Jeff. All right, I will. Thank you. Well, and you know the story when I did that once in the patio. It was the opening night of the patio back in 2020, and I said yes. And man, did I blow it. Because I was, I didn't expect to be asked. So I'm always surprised when I'm asked. I'm like, me? Really? So I went up and did it, and I don't even know how much time I did. I think it was maybe 5. I don't even know if it was that long. And it was, I definitely rushed it. I was more nervous than I thought I'd be. And even after I came off, I remembered, like, I skipped that. I skipped this. I was like, son of a bitch. But I did get some laughs. But, yeah, it was weird going up there. I don't know. I guess I just have to be more mentally prepared, or I just have to calm the hell down and not worry about it so much. I've been doing stage work for, almost 30 years, over 30 years. Never say no to stage time. I learned that when I used to work the pole, says Fremder. Fremder, I think, works the pole when he watches his show. Yeah, so I definitely felt like I rushed it a little bit, but I was getting some laughs. In fact, one guy came up to me afterwards. He goes, he goes, your name and all the stuff with the leg. He goes, I know of you. I'm like, oh, okay. And it turned out that I worked with his father at the phone company. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. So, but it was fun to be back up, and I think because it was here. The last time I did my set was a bar gig. And I know that's part of the life, and you got to pay your dues. You got to, and you just got to, rise up to that challenge. But bar gigs are tough, man. People aren't there for you. At least at a place like, at a comedy club, there, everybody's watching, so you have their attention. And it's, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was definitely fun to be back up. So New Year's Eve, I'll be back in the Giggle Room again with a John Butera show. In fact, I think Rich Raid is in that show as well. I forget who else. But, New Year's Eve. Go to govs.com and make some reservations. Come check us out. New Year's Eve, it's the early show. There's 2 shows in the Giggle Room on New Year's Eve, and the one and only Anthony Rodia is playing the main club that night. So, so go to govs.com and come down New Year's Eve. And don't forget also, govs.com, Joey Cola, our pal Joey Cola, he's playing, I think it's McGuire's, or the Brokerage, January 14th. Don't forget this week, I mentioned Chris Roach. He's hosting Yellow Pad Thursday in the Giggle Room this week. It's him and Carla, is it Mike Vecchione, I think? And Keith Anthony. That's a great lineup. It's called Yellow Pad Thursday. It's great comedians who come up and they're testing out new stuff. So come on down. It's here in the Giggle Room Thursday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to make it to that. Fremder, I'm always up to the challenge every morning. Psychic Robert Hansen's going to be playing at the club this week. Ali Makovsky, Eric Terrell, lots of great stuff. So go to govs.com. and check out some great comedy shows. So let's see. I talked about that. Oh, I met Rob White for the first time this weekend, last night. Good to meet him. That was cool. Funny guy, Rob White. If you've never seen him, go check him out. So that was my weekend. What was your weekend like? Taking a sip of water. All right, so I guess the big news today, Bob McGrath, if you're my age or around my age, Sesame Street was a big deal, right? We all grew up on Sesame Street. Bob McGrath from Sesame Street died. His family announced yesterday. The guy was 90 years old. I had no idea. He was that old. But yeah, Sesame Street, man. You know, if you're around my age, you know, we didn't have a million channels when we were kids. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have a tablet or a device to carry around. It was, you know, Sesame Street, twice a day, I think it was back then? And, I mean, that's where we learned stuff. I didn't learn stuff in school. I learned stuff on Sesame Street. Yeah, Bob McGrath. So, so that's kind of sad, right? It's weird, you know, getting up in age, and now we're starting all of our, you know, all the people. I don't want to see. I don't know. I guess heroes. I guess. Can you tell me how to get to Bob McGrath's funeral? That was good, friend. You can learn not to be a homeless person like Oscar the Grouch. There you go. You can learn you can learn how to. You'd learn that C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. And you can learn about pigeons from Bert. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was a little... Oscar lived in a can. I would be grouchy if that was me. Yeah, I'd be grouchy, too, if I lived in a can. Although, Bosie, I think there are people living in his can. Or a couple of gerbils. Yeah, so Bob McGrath died. He was 90 years old. The man served in the Army. My favorite thing was that pinball segment, Counting to 12. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My brother used to get scared. James Earl Jones. I used to show this clip of James Earl Jones, and he'd just look into the camera. I think he counted, right? 1. Or did he do the alphabet? A, B. I forget now what he did, but it used to scare my brother. It was just yesterday. So Bob McGrath, he served in the Army. So, I don't know. I mean, the guy was great on Sesame Street and really put a lot into it. So, I don't know if that makes somebody a hero, but it definitely makes him a good man. But then you throw in the Army, so he's definitely a hero. He was married in 1958, so he was married for a long time. Had 5 children, lived in New Jersey. Yeah, I just decided, I figured, you know, like, you don't look at these people as actors and stuff. Like, you know, for them, it was a job. It was a gig. But, you know, for us kids, we're like, these guys were like they were like some kind of authority figure, you know? So, I remember, I forget the girl's name, like in real life or her character's name, but she was on Sesame Street, I think, probably a little later. I'm 52. If you're on my age, this girl came on later. I forget her name. And she might still be on there now for all I know. But again, they're just actors. And I remember this girl, she was on The Sopranos for one episode. And I just remember thinking to myself, you're not allowed to do that. You know, you're talking to our kids on Sesame Street. You're not supposed to be on something where there's sex and violence and cursing. Go back. You know, so it was weird. You know, I guess if you're younger than me, which I don't know if there's anybody who watches that's really younger. I think, you know, 40s and 50s is probably the demographic of this show. But you know, if you're younger, you know, it would be like watching Steve from Blue's Clues. In fact, I think he was on some show and what show was that? Where somebody had a dream and then that he was in it and they were about to kiss and they, you know, the person woke up, because you can't do that. You can't have this guy who hosts a kids show making out on TV, you know. But yeah, so I decided to look him up, you know, just see what else he's done. You know, what did he do prior to Sesame Street? So he worked with the Mitch Miller Orchestra and was the featured tenor on Mitch Miller's NBC sing-along series, Sing Along with Mitch, 4 seasons, 1960 to 1964. He was also a singer on the Walt Kelly album, Songs of the Pogo. In the mid-60s, McGrath became a well-known recording artist in Japan, releasing a series of successful albums of Irish and other folk songs and ballads sung in Japanese. What? Wow. Obviously a smart guy to learn Japanese and be able to sing their songs. Irish and other folk songs sung in Japanese. When Irish eyes are smiling, like when Japanese eyes are smiling, and he also wrote many children's books, and he was one of the original cast members of Sesame Street starting in 1969. Fremder, I have a funny story about Maria and Luis at Sesame Street Live when I was a kid. All I wanted was an autograph on a napkin, and Luis slammed the door in my face. What a douche. Did he really? He died recently, too, didn't he? Yeah, see, that pisses me off. Fremder says, I was devastated. That's when their store on Sesame Street closed down. I think it was because my dad got pissed and called immigration. That's... What? So what? You asked him for the autograph? He said no? Were they in the... did you get in their way or something? There's more to this story, isn't there, Fremder? Still a dicky thing to do. My brother met some of the Sesame Street guys, including Bob McGrath. The difference, though, between Fremder and my brother is that my brother did this just a few years ago when he was in his 50s or late 40s. I don't think I would have done that at this age. I ran across the stage and up the aisle at Westbury Music Fair, right up to his door and knocked on it, and that's what he did. Wow. All right, well, running across the stage and up the aisle, that has nothing to do with him, so he wouldn't care about that. So he was already in his dressing room? And you made it, you ran right up the aisle into the backstage area? I mean, I can understand him being a little aggravated because he's probably now, done. He's off. But you open the door, you see a little kid standing there. You can't get pissed and slam the door in a kid's face. All right, forget what I said about all these Sesame Street people. They all suck. Wow. And what so he's done? What? And what so he's done with the show, and now he's being bothered by a kid who wants his autograph while he's in the middle of sniffing lines in his dressing room. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Imagine actually, didn't that happen to the guy that played Gordon? I think he ended up having some drug issues. But then he eventually kicked the habit and was okay, and I think he came back, right? Something like that. I don't know, I forget. Gordon used to own Maria and Louise's shop. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. So, so that's that. Yeah, so Bob McGrath passed away. All right, so I want to talk about, I want to get your opinion. So the other day on Facebook, I got, like how you said, in the next 10 years, it's going to be rough because everyone's going to start dropping like flies. I did say that on Friday, I guess it was, Thursday or Friday. Yeah. It's going to be weird. Christine McVie the other day. Bob McGrath. But yeah, if you're, I'm sure, this is the case for anybody in the, when they're in their 50s. All the people that they've known and have, grew up watching or listening to, I guess they all start, going. But so it's our turn. It is definitely going to be strange. Slow down, Turbo. I'm still in my 40s. What are you, Jeff? 46? People so old, they're dropping like flies. I'm getting so old, I can't even drop my own fly to go to the bathroom. Jeff is 44. Oh, yeah, I think it's Andy that's 46. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you guys? I was going to, before I get into my next story, between Christmas and New Year's, I usually take that week off, and I still might. It's good to have, a week off, to refresh and just relax a little bit. But just curious, if I did do the show, do you think people would watch? Or people away with families and taking time off and just not. I think a lot of people take that week, to just kind of refresh and relax because, from all the hustle and bustle of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, getting ready for New Year's. Between Christmas and New Year's is Santa's date. So yeah, let me know what you think. I mean, or are people home doing nothing, and maybe more people would tune in. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. I don't know. I'm still kind of tossing it around. So I wanted to ask you your opinion about another thing too. I got into not an argument on Facebook. It was just a discussion. Thank goodness. I won't get into Facebook arguments anymore. But remember we all used to do that at the beginning of Facebook. Do one day call it a Christmas special. Maybe I'll do that, Jeff. Maybe I'll do that and try and get a bunch of people in. Like there's a lot of comedians who are teachers. Like what's his name? Who's the funny guy with the red hair? His name's escaping me right now. And Roseanne Sorrentino. Yeah, maybe I can get some people in that normally can't come in. While Santa runs around trying to make good on all the Christmas wishes, Mrs. Claus is back home working the pole. And the elves. Yeah, exactly. Will Sharon, but no, I wasn't talking about him. It's killing me now. Greg. Maybe it's not Greg. Who the hell am I thinking of? He's a teacher, red hair. But yeah, I'll definitely ask Will Sharon. Son of a bitch, who the hell am I thinking of? It's killing me now. I have red hair. I teach people how to have a bad sense of humor. Maybe I'll even have you in Christmas if you're nice to me. Jeff, who am I thinking of? It's driving me nuts. Skinny guy, red hair, beard. He hangs around Tommy Farrell. All right, I'm going to look up Tommy Farrell and then look at our mutual friends. Driving me crazy. Maybe they're not friends anymore. What the hell is he? What the hell? They're not even friends? Oh my God, this is making me nuts. All right, I'm just going to have to drop it. Yeah, I'm going to have to drop it. I don't remember who the hell I'm thinking of. All right, so maybe they're not friends anymore because even I can't remember who he is. Yeah, I know. I'm a little embarrassed. He's a good guy. He's been in here several times. I just can't remember his name. I'm just having a brain fart. All right, so here's maybe I'll do at least one day during that week. So over the weekend I got into a little discussion with a guy. Remember when we all joined Facebook in the beginning? The second anybody posted their political view or whatever it was, and you just get into these big giant fights with people. Thank God they're not as common as they are. But they're still, people still fight and stuff, and we all sit back and watch. But But it used to be common, right? We all used to fight with each other on Facebook over stupid stuff. An old friend of mine, he posted, he got mad at the liberals. He's saying, nice job getting the minimum wage rate raised up to $15 an hour because he goes, the Stop and Shop that I go to, my local supermarket, he goes, they took away yet another cashier lane and added another self-checkout lane, which made him mad. And I'm with him on that. I hate self-checkout lines. I do not get on them in the supermarket. I'll wait the extra 10 minutes if I have to. I have done self-checkout lines at CVS. CVS didn't even have a cashier anymore. They have one person standing there watching everybody to make sure they're doing all right at their self-checkout, which I hate, and I'll probably go to CVS less because it makes me mad. These things are taking jobs away from people. They don't always work that well, and for what? What are you saving money on? Mr. CEO of whatever business you're running. It's just more money going in your pockets. No, you're making plenty of money. Keep that high school kid up there for $15 an hour. He needs it. He or she needs it. It's bad enough they took paper routes away from our kids. I'm still mad about that, even though there's no really newspapers are such a dying breed. Newspapers are like 5 pages now, which on Sundays used to be like a book. See, I'm still waiting for my W-2 from Stop and Shop at Walmart for bagging my own stuff. Exactly. So I agreed with my buddy on that the self-checkout lines suck and they're taking jobs away. In fact, my buddy, this guy who posted it, he's a union guy like myself and like Jeff Posey. So I chimed in and I said, all right, I agree with you about the self-checkout lines. I said, however, I respectfully, see, and that's the thing, I wasn't going to give my friend an opportunity. I wasn't going to have it come out wrong. So I chose my words wisely. I didn't, because you never know, what kind of attitude somebody's writing something with. You're just reading it yourself. You have no idea what the attitude behind it is, unless you word it just right. So I said, I respectfully disagree. I personally don't think raising minimum wage is the reason. I said, I believe that the CEOs are just, they have plenty of money. They never take a cut. It's always the employees that have to take less hours or less money or be laid off completely. I said, maybe they can take a little bit of a cut. And I think that set a good tone right there. So now it was just a nice, friendly, respectful conversation. And he said, oh, come on. He goes, minimum wage jobs used to be just for a kid flipping a burger, while he's in school trying to make a few bucks. He goes, now people are trying to get mortgages from their burger flipping jobs. I said, all right, well, I said minimum wage is a minimum wage based on the current climate. I said, and minimum wage was a certain amount when we were kids, yes, and now it's raised to kind of match the cost of living. I said, unfortunately, I personally don't think that the jobs are, there's as many jobs, and I said something to this effect. You can have somebody who works, he or she is flipping a burger at night after they work their full-time job, but which is great. Everybody's just trying to make a living, support their families. But I don't think there's much opportunity for that anymore. A lot of people are working longer hours at the jobs they have. A lot of people they have more responsibility at the jobs that they have. A lot of people just want to get home because half their paychecks going to childcare. When we were growing up, we were just kind of on that cusp of one of the parents staying home and both, and then becoming both parents have to work. So it's different. It's different now. And then I even pointed out, I said, if a guy who's flipping a burger is trying to get a mortgage from the burger flipping job, I said, more power to him. I said, let him get his mortgage, because then he's getting a mortgage, he's paying his taxes. A lot of people who are just flipping burgers or working just a minimum wage job, they're then renting, most likely an illegal apartment. This is a lot on Long Island that I'm talking about. I don't know about other places, but they're renting an illegal apartment, sending their kids to school and not paying any taxes. School, and most of our taxes on Long Island are school tax. So let the guy or girl who's working a minimum wage job, let them get a mortgage. Let them pay their taxes. Let them pay the union dues. Let the money be spread. It gets the economy going. So, and again, let the CEOs take a freaking pay cut. I talked about it the other day with Trader Joe's. Now their employees have to work a minimum of 3 days a week. You talk about that poor kid that's just trying to make a few extra bucks at school, while at school. A lot of them can't do 3 days a week. Again, it's different than when we were kids. Most kids, or a lot of kids, would just go home, or they'd play soccer, or a sport after school, but they'd still be home in a decent hour. Now, you see it. It's so much different now with the kids. There's so much pressure on them. A lot of them don't get a lunch period anymore. I mean, you heard Andy talking about it on Friday. They're doing homework, on their buses, and they're up till midnight because they have so much stuff going on, and they're all dead. You ever look at a school bus in the morning? It's ridiculous. They're all sitting on the bus like this. It's crazy. So, a lot of kids can't work 3 days a week, and it's and they were told they were going to be terminated if they can't do it. Things are just so much different now. It's harder with jobs these days. So, and give a kid the $15 an hour minimum wage to work a freaking register. There's a little stress involved because there's money. You got to be, even or whatever, but still, it's still a fairly cool job. Supermarkets were the place to be, back then, because socially it was kind of cool. You see all your friends, you see a bunch of people from school, at work. You could get friendly with them that way too. So it was a good social experience. Let them be cashiers, for crying out loud. Let them help you bag, and that too. Now, bags are $1. Come on. Political views is short for dick pic. Political view. Paying child support can get a little iffy sometimes, which is why birth control might be the better option. That Fremder. Speaking of jobs, I have another job-related story here. Paid vacation days. Paid vacation days are essential to promoting healthy work-life balance among professionals. Paid vacation days are essential to promoting healthy work-life balance among professionals. But according to a new report from Resume.io, a career resource platform, American workers aren't getting enough paid vacation days. The average American gets 10 paid vacation days per year after 1 year of service. And then, of course, there's days like, there's holidays like President's Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, access to paid vacation leave can vary due to a number of factors, including industry, full-time versus part-time employment, and union versus non-union status. Studies show that 50% of American workers are not taking vacation time. 50%, that's huge. This lack of downtime could lead to burnout and stress. Yes. And in more severe cases, depression and mental health conditions. 27% of U.S. adults say they're so stressed they can't function. Here are the countries with the least amount of paid vacation days. Micronesia has, which I have no idea where that is. I've never heard of Micronesia. Has 9 vacation days. So they're the worst country. Coming in second, United States of America. 10 paid vacation days. Nauru, Nauru, also 10. Palau. Sound like Jerry Lewis. Palau. Palau. They have 12 vacation days. I have never heard of these countries. Kiribati. Kiribati. They have 13 paid vacation days. Mexico, 14. China, 16. Lebanon, 17. Philippines, 17. Nigeria, 17. The U.S. also falls short in the paid leave department. Though most countries have a norm of 4 weeks of paid leave, the U.S. is the only developed country with no statutory paid leave. Really? Bosie gets 25. You get 25. So you get what? So you get 4 weeks off a year? 4 weeks paid vacation a year? And how many years did it take you to get to that? But yeah, no, unfortunately, that is not. Unfortunately, that's not most people. Like at the phone company, it took like, I don't know, 12 years or something to get to 4 weeks. I forget, something like that. In the fall, my landscapers get a paid leave. Took Bosie 10 years to get that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, yeah, 10 paid vacation days, plus, there's holidays. I don't know. I mean, that's the big thing these days, right? Talking about mental health and whatnot. So I don't know. Is there any validity to it? I'm used to, like Jeff said, taking 10 years to work up your vacation time. That's the way it was. That's the way it's been. Is it the right way? I don't know. It's just what I'm accustomed to because that's what I grew up, and that's just how how it was. Should we be more concerned about mental health? Are we just becoming wimpier? I don't know. It's weird. Here's a crazy story. A truck with a Texas license plate was allegedly stolen. All right, hang on, I'll go back. All right. I think this mental health is very underlooked when it comes to that stuff. So, Fremda, so you're saying we should have more time off? And it does bother me. Like I said, the U.S. falls short in the paid leave department. I mean, I know we have the Family Medical Leave Act. I know some companies themselves, decide to pay during that time. FMLA. Yes, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a bit mental. Yeah, FMLA. I know some companies they will take it upon themselves to pay during that time. I think it was a law for a short time where companies had to pay. Now I don't think it is anymore. You're allowed the time, but you don't get paid for it, I believe is where it stands now. I could be wrong about that. That bothers me. You're dealing with, maybe your baby has, something bad or you got to take care of a sick parent or something. I do feel our country falls short on taking care of stuff like that. And, of course, the whole medical coverage as well. But don't get me started there. But, yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for more vacation time. Take the time. Enjoy yourselves. Life's too short. So, All right, yeah, so here's another story. Crazy story. A white truck with a Texas license plate was allegedly stolen from the parking garage of a Denver Hyatt hotel. Okay? Now, this was according to the truck's owner, who was staying at the hotel. The owner told the police that the truck contained 6 firearms, including a tactical military-style rifle, 2 drones, $4,000 in cash, and an iPhone 11. So the next morning, the police, police officer, his last name is Staub. I think it's a gentleman. I think it's a man. The next morning, the police officer Staub interviewed the owner of the truck by phone, and the owner of the truck used the Find My Phone app on his phone to search for the stolen iPhone and his stolen belongings. And sure enough, he found an address, as to where this stuff possibly would be. The police officer somehow gets gets a judge to okay a raid on this house based on the Find My Phone app. No, they have nothing else to go by. So an elderly woman who lives in Colorado is suing the Denver police detective who ordered the SWAT raid on her house after it was falsely pinged by the Apple's Find My Phone app as the location of the stolen items. This past Wednesday she filed a lawsuit. The lawsuit states that that as afforded by our Constitution to be free of unreasonable searches and seizures, the affidavit allegedly lacked probable cause that evidence of crime could be found at this person's home, since it was just based on an unverified and vague ping from Apple's Find My Phone app. The area that was highlighted on the app as the possible location of the phone spanned at least 6 properties and 4 blocks. The person who whose house they raided was this woman who's in her 70s, lives alone. She works for the post office. Can you imagine? Can you imagine just sitting in your home? You're in your 70s, like my mother. She's in her 70s. She's old. That's a pretty big radius. Sounds like the 70-year-old lady was on the move. Yeah. She's sitting at home, maybe watching TV, eating, eating her courage and whey. And all of a sudden, boom, bang, 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 boom. She gets raided by a SWAT team. They're lucky they didn't kill this woman by giving her a heart attack. The SWAT team arrived in military gear, tactical rifles, and a police German Shepherd dog, and used a bullhorn to demand that anyone inside the home come out. When you're in your 70s, you're watching your programs. You don't care what's going on outside. She probably didn't even notice it. She probably, because she's old, she probably can't hear. The TV was probably on loud. She probably thought it was, a TV in another room. Like, who's watching Law and Order in my house? I mean, can you imagine? And then so it comes out that officers damaged this lady's home as they kept her sitting inside a police car, even though she told them there was nothing stolen in the house. They used a battering ram to destroy the back garage door and the door frame, even though she told them how to get in. She told them how to open that garage door. They struck it down anyway. They broke the head off of one of this woman's prized collectible doll figurines that she has collected and cherished for nearly 3 decades. The one that they broke was a gift from her son. The house was left in disarray. Even though the raid turned up none of the items police were looking for, no evidence of any connection to the crime, the police department still refused to pay for repairs. Is this ridiculous or what? This is the craziest freaking story. They do all that damage. They go into this house of a 70-something-year-old lady, find nothing even remotely closely connecting her to this crime, and then they refuse to pay for damage. What police organization uses a bullhorn to get people outside? That sounds like some Frank Drebin Naked Gun shit. Gotta work. Have a great day, everyone. You too, Jeff. Have a great day, pal. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, that's just crazy to me. I mean, at least freaking pay for the damages and give her a little something extra. For crying out loud. That is totally a Frank Drebin thing. Nothing to see here. Move along. All right, Carol, you still watching, or did Carol leave me? Carol, I had something that I think you'd like. My next, might be even my final story of the day here. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, Carol might have left. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you this story anyway. You're right. They should have called Pap Schmear. We won't rest a single minute till we find out who did this to our Nordberg. Now let's get some lunch. So, Carol, if you're still watching, or somebody tell Carol to tune in. 2 longtime reporters and producers have created a striking new film about autism that they hope will change the hearts and minds of millions and help foster a new understanding of those who are diagnosed with autism, no matter where those individuals may fall on the autism spectrum. Karen Zucker and John Donvan, authors of the book In a Different Key, have created a new film of the same name. It's scheduled to be shown on PBS on Tuesday, December 13th. As cliche as it may sound, they said, we really want to change the world with this film. And the way to do it is sometimes one person at a time. We think this film is a way for people to get I'm going to start that again. We think this film is a way for people to get a crash course in autism. The film offers a deep dive into autism, often vastly misunderstood, though its depiction of about half a dozen people and their experiences. Through their depiction. All right. The film offers a deep dive into autism, which is vastly misunderstood, through its depiction of about half a dozen people and their experiences. Got it right. Not all of it is pleasant and positive, to be sure. Some of it's painful and heartbreaking, but all of it is true. It shows a range of realities experienced by those who have profound autism, people who lead independent lives, women with autism, people of color with autism, people who live in poverty with autism. It covers everything. They stress the documentary is not meant solely for the autism community. It's for civilians outside autism circles, those who don't have direct experience with the condition, which I think is less and less. I think most people have some kind of connection to it these days. Although I will say there are still plenty of ignorant people out there when it comes to it. The film also reveals the life of the first person in the country ever to be diagnosed with autism. Well, that's interesting. Donald Triplett of Forest, Mississippi, who today is in his 80s. Wow. Zucker and Donvan sought him out because they wanted to understand his life as a way of helping others with theirs. The story of Donald Triplett is the story of the first person ever diagnosed. There have been people with autism forever, but nobody had talked about autism, and it wasn't defined before that. So we're sharing his success really at a time when most people who were diagnosed with autism or any sort of difference were put into institutions. Donald really had the life that most people with autism did not have the good fortune to have in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And his community fully embraced him. The spectrum is so broad. To help others understand, we tried to share over half a dozen stories of people who are each incredibly different from the others. All those people have autism. It doesn't discriminate. Ultimately, we hope we're changing as many hearts and minds as possible. In the film, there's a scene with the police and how understandings can really lead to tragic situations. It's about awareness and knowledge. Knowing that somebody has autism can change a scene completely. Yeah. I'll have to let Carol know about this. That's Tuesday, December 13th on PBS at 9 o'clock. I'm here on Tuesdays at 9, so I'm going to have to, I think, just kill Hershey and Keegan. No, I'll get my hands on this thing. Very interested in seeing it. A lot of what I'm very curious to see what they do here, because a lot of this I've experienced myself, not my own personal experience, but just being in that world. I know plenty of people that have had financial hardships. I know, people of all colors who have it. I know, there are plenty of women that have it. My own daughter that has it. And I've seen I've seen a lot of great things. I've seen a lot of horrible things. And I'm curious to see what they're talking about with the police. I know somebody who, it made national news. I mean, this has got to be, like 10 years ago? Where the school district my kids went to, they employed a custodian who worked there part-time. He was autistic, and he lived in the same town. He grew up in the same town. And so he was always around. And I think at the time, he was in his 40s. And and because he worked in school, he knew, everybody that goes through the schools, knew him. So everybody in town, everybody knew him. And it seemed like for a long time they embraced him, the town, But sure enough, there was a situation where some kids were teasing him. And it, at first he was, eventually it really got to him. These kids were a little relentless. And he reacted. Now, when I say he reacted, he didn't hit them, he didn't touch them. He said some off-color things to them. And there was some kind of threat of violence. I don't know if he said, I'm going to kill you or if I'm going to beat you up. I don't know. I don't remember what he said. But the police were called. They came. They took him away. And because he's autistic and because he didn't really grasp what in the world they were doing to him, what was going on, he got excited. They had to take him away in an ambulance, and they threw him in a rubber room. Which was devastating. And thankfully the town got behind him, and some people, I don't want to say powerful people, but people with, who had influence and people who had, important jobs in our area got involved and, got him freed quickly. And we had to, we all came together as a town to rally for him, because he lost his job as a result of this. But it was still, and like I said, it even made national news. I remember seeing this on CNN even. But I remember I was president, actually, of the co-president of Wanto SEPTA at the time. SEPTA in most school districts means special ed PTA. In our case, we called it supportive education PTA. But I was very let down. I was very disappointed with our town and our school district. Because this, like I said, national news, it was a big deal. And there were rallies held. There were, school board meetings that were filled up, hundreds of people showing up. And and not once did anybody in the town or in the school district reach out to the SEPTA and say, hey, what did we do wrong? What do we do moving forward? What can we, what do we need to know? And I'll never forget we went to the school had a board meeting. The place was mobbed. TV cameras were there. And somebody brought this poor guy to the meeting, right? We're in the middle of this meeting. All of a sudden, doors open, and here he comes walking in. It was right out of a bad Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie. And the place erupts. Place is going nuts. And I'm sorry, but, if you knew anything about it, autism, that's the last thing you should do. Put this person in a giant room full of people who are now making all sorts of noise at you. And again, how do you not reach out to your special need community, the people that, kind of in charge of your special need community, and have them kind of get involved? It was, it had a happy ending. That, as far as I know, he's still working for the school district. He got his job back, and he's been doing well and whatnot. But it was a hard lesson to learn. Who knows what it did to this poor guy and his family. But yeah, and even now, being the PAL Special Needs Division president, I see a lot of families that are having some financial difficulties, or God forbid a parent passes away. Like, now what? We had that just this past year. We had one kid, I think he was only 11 or something. I don't know the kid well, but he appears to be lower functioning. But I don't know that for sure. His father was 50 years old, and he just dropped one day, of a heart attack. And then, and you don't know what the kid understands. You don't know, So there's a lot of, sad things. In fact, this coming Friday, as a matter of fact, we're honoring one of our participants who died in his sleep 5 years ago at the age, I think it was like 22, 23 or something. And we're having a little ceremony for him with his family. Great kid. Also lived in the town that my kids went to school in. So yeah, a lot of sad things. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great things in the community too. I personally have made a lot of great friends. I've gotten to know a lot of people who work, local officials from being involved. And just the things that we do. We have basketball every Friday, and these kids, we don't have set teams. We form teams every Friday, and they just play. It's not a league. They take it very seriously, and they love to play, and a lot of them are very good athletes. But but they help each other out, and they'll if somebody falls, they help each other up, and there's no discrimination. Nobody's fighting, it's just a great time, and everybody enjoys themselves. We do have a bowling league, and that is an actual league, with scores and trophies, first place. And we just have such a great time. And I even coach a special needs baseball team, which I'll take that over your traditional little league. I don't know anybody. If you know anybody that's ever been involved in some kind of little league, they'll all tell you the same thing. Oh yeah, this one is in good with the president of the league, so he got to handpick his kids, and and he claims he doesn't cheat, but we know he cheats, and they're all about getting the trophy. And this parent said this one, and that one said this, and we had we almost got into a fight. That shit's not non-existent in the special needs world, man. You get a kid who hit the ball to shortstop, and they throw the ball to first base, and that kid is out. That kid doesn't care that he's out. He or she is just thrilled that they made contact with the ball. They don't care. No, you're out. You got to go sit down. Okay, they go sit down. And then they go talk to whoever's sitting next to them on the bench. It's just, we just have a great time. It's always such a great time, and that's why I get involved, because I do love it. But I'm very curious to see what this movie's about. In a different key, Tuesday, December 13th at 9 p.m. So I'll have to Yeah, I'll have to remember to find that. Maybe I'll even wonder if I can reach out. Maybe I can reach out to these people and get them in here. Or yeah, that would be kind of cool, huh? I wonder if I can do that. There was a movie I saw years ago called Wretches and Jabberers, where they take these two older individuals with autism, and this movie's got to be 20 years old almost. This was before, like, you know, the phones are as smart as they are now. But these guys, they were verbal. Actually, no, one of them. No, they were both verbal, but not very well. And they took these two guys and they gave them these devices. I forget what they're called, but you know, it has a little keyboard. You type it in, and then a little voice comes out and says, you know, what they wrote. And their aides take them all around the world, where they meet different people on the spectrum, and they sit down, and these other people have the contraption as well, and they sit down, and they start having normal conversations through these things. You would, if you just sat there and read them, you wouldn't get right away that they're on the spectrum. It just looks like people texting. It was quite something, and it was kind of a sad movie too. I mean, because these guys were older at the time. Well, I'm sure they still are. But this movie's got to be 15, 20 years. So these guys were probably 60s at that time. So going back to their childhoods, they were institutionalized, and you know, which again is not an easy life. You know, it's terrible. Shame on those police that arrested them, and also shame on the parents who don't know how to teach their kids how to be decent human beings that feel the need to tease others. Absolutely right, Fremder. I don't know who the kids were, but I hope they got a little lesson. And it does take me back to my childhood. I can think of a few people that were around who obviously were on the spectrum, and we just didn't know enough about it then. And they were teased. There was one guy, you know, I mentioned before having a paper route when I was a kid. I worked for Newsday for a few years, and I took on a lot of routes because you kiss ass to the customers, and they tip you well, man. I was a 14-year-old kid bringing home, you know, at least $100 a week. You know, for a 14-year-old kid, man, I was pretty happy. At Christmas time, I was making at least $250 a year at Christmas time. And that was huge. But there was this one guy at the Newsday Shack, because I would take my bike to the Newsday Shack, collect my papers, go deliver them, and I would come back. You know, any routes open? You know, maybe they just didn't have anybody to fill a route. You know, so I would temporarily take them, or even just for the day. Sometimes I would take them, and the district managers would sometimes just throw you some cash. Here, go deliver. Take care of this route for me today. You know, so yeah, I would make some money. So and at the Newsday Shack, there'd be this guy Richie, who hung around the shack. This guy, and he was older, but you can tell pretty quickly by the way he dressed, by the way he talked, and even by the bike he rode, that there was something different. But, the word autism didn't exist. You heard it briefly in Rain Man. That was, 87, 88 when that movie came out? That was the first time I ever heard that word. And I, looking back, I didn't tease this kid, this guy, Rich, but he was teased. I do remember there was a kid that used to tease him a little bit, and Rich hauled off and punched him square in the jaw. And Rich got into a lot of trouble. And, you look, in fact, just a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I saw Rich in the paper. He got arrested for something, for attacking somebody. And the first thing that I think of, and they even had his picture, and it was definitely him, and, he looks, like like these mugshots always are. They're never flattering, right? But he looked creepy, the weird look on his face, his hair was a mess. And it bothered me because the general public who doesn't know this guy, they see this article, on the paper or online, and they see this picture and like, oh, that guy's a creepo. Keep my kid away from him. There was nothing in this article about him being special needs. Nothing. It was just what he did and whoever he attacked and whatever the reason was. I don't even remember, but I remember thinking, this poor bastard. What has he been going through? All these years. that he's still getting in trouble. It is really, the special needs community is so much more in the forefront now than it's been. We've made tremendous strides, but it's still not where it needs to be. Like I said, I still come across a lot of ignorant people who have no idea and don't try to understand or think they understand, but they really don't. It's so I'm curious to see what that movie's all about. Hopefully there's a lot of happy stuff along with the bad stuff. And again, there are a lot of great stuff in that life too. Again, I've learned a lot. I've made some great friends. And even this guy, Donald Triplett, where is he from? What did it say he was from? He's had a great life. He's in his 80s. And Mississippi. The town has embraced him. I even saw one clip where a guy said, I didn't even know he was autistic. He just, was just him. We're just used to him being here, and he's happy, and everybody in the town loves him, and that's good to see. And we hope that there's more of that. All right, I think that's everything for today. It's just about 12:30 now anyway. I was going to talk about Mets and baseball, but I'm going to do that with Jay tomorrow too. Fat Jay coming in tomorrow. We're going to talk about his weekend. He had a good weekend at the lacrosse game on Saturday and performing comedy here at Governor's last night. So we're going to talk to him. We'll talk to him about some baseball a little bit because he's a baseball fanatic like I am. I don't know if Dan is coming in. I hope he is. And, of course, it's Tuesday Trivia. So join us tomorrow for Tuesday Trivia. And then on Thursday, it's not definite yet, but it looks pretty definite that Joe DeJesu will be here. So that'll be fun. Always a great time to see our old pal Joe DeJesu. All right, and that'll do it for us today. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Steve Square tonight at 6:30. They're not in the studio tonight. They will be remote. But in the studio tonight at 8 o'clock, the return, Flip Tracks Radio with Tom Sanfilippo. I don't know if he has a guest or not. He did not tell me that yet, but doesn't need one. The guy's great as he is, bringing that guitar, playing some tunes. Tonight at 8 o'clock, Flip Tracks Radio with Tom Sanfilippo. All right, so we're out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back here tomorrow for Tuesday Trivia with Fat Jay. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later.